Good morning, all. Thank you for joining us on today's PIEA Membership Forum. We would like to welcome you all for this webinar. At this moment, I'd like to invite our General Manager for PIEA, Wanjiko Manyara, to do a safety brief, and then we can be able to proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mungai, and good morning, all. That music was so uplifting already. I'm wondering if I'm going to be the party pooper. Mungai, that's a first. And the words are, I guess, exactly the reason why we are having the topic for our Q2 membership forum. And as always, we will start with the safety brief. I hope that none of you are self-driving. Unfortunately, we don't put our cameras on whenever we have the virtual meetings, and sometimes it's not possible for us to discern if we are complying with the no driving policy. And if you are, it would be great to come to a complete and safe stop so that you park in an area that is well lit and that's not obstructing pedestrians or motorists. And hands-free doesn't count. So please, if you are taking this call, do it when you are static. Any attention away from driving is high risk. It's July still, the second last day of July, and we notice that there's so much mist and a lot of fog and sometimes wet roads in the morning. So just to remind ourselves to apply this defensive driving skills, which include and are not limited to making sure that you can be seen. So use your fog lights, use your hazards, drive cautiously, recognizing that there are other stakeholders on the road other than yourselves, or other than ourselves. So includes motorcycles, includes pedestrians, includes cyclists, it includes a public transportation, and sometimes not everyone complies with the highway code. So it's good to remember to be the ones that comply with that highway code, and to remember that we keep our eyes moving and to make sure that we get the bigger picture. If you haven't already done so by now, kindly note and identify your emergency exits from the place where you're taking or the location where you're taking your meeting. And we hope that you're also familiar with the queue that will enable you to calmly leave wherever it is you're taking this meeting from to your nearest assembly point. Of course, nothing makes sense if no rational decision can be made and no logical decision can be made if the center doesn't hold. And for us here at the PIEA Secretariat and within our membership, we are very big on our mental wellness. And we use 4 tools to ensure that we keep checking and become self-aware of how we are doing and how our teams are doing. So just remember to look twice, to listen twice, and to think twice to any situation, and not just about other people, but about ourselves. Think twice about what you're thinking or what you're saying. Look twice unto yourself, and it's always good to use a mirror. And listen twice even to what it is that you're saying to yourself, because it's exactly what it is that you will be pouring into the communication that you extend to those that you work or relate with. The idea here is just to remember that it's important to create spaces that are safe and to remember to be empathetic. If we don't do all those things twice, then empathy becomes redundant in how we deal with ourselves and with other people. And the last and most important tool is to speak once and only to speak that which is uplifting, that which is positive. And if it's not, do not speak at all. Important to note is that it's not just what we say verbally, but also what we pass on in our emails, what we pass on social media, and we can be the ones to stop any negativity from being advanced to the next person that we intend to share anything that is negative, not just about ourselves, but also about organizations. Mungai heads up, there is an AI tool that has joined, which is against our policy for virtual meetings. So please bump off the note taker. We apologize for that, but our policy, our communication policy, does not allow for AI gadgets in our virtual meetings. As Mungai has mentioned, we have a very important subject matter, corporate team building. A facade, maybe not, maybe is, but we're going to have it unpacked for us. For those who are joining us for the first time, we use the membership forums as avenues for exchange of discourse and expertise on various matters that affect our sector, recognizing that we do not operate in isolation. So anything that promotes solutions, anything that promotes innovation, anything that promotes the technology, we are more than happy to have that shared on this platform with our members. Mungai, I believe we have the ground rules, which is for the presenter to take us through the presentation. And for questions, there'll be a Q&A session, which Mungai will lead as on. And you're free to continue using the chat just to make sure that we do not forget any questions or comments that we would want shared or discussed within the hour that we have this session. We have the Microsoft Teams raise hand feature, and I believe Mungai will take on soon after the presenter has finished for the Q&A. And thereafter, we hope that our membership committee chair will be in the house for him to do the vote of thanks. Mungai, let me give the microphone back to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Njoko, for the safety brief and the introduction. We'd like now to do a brief introduction for the speaker. As mentioned today, that this is a membership forum, and the topic is corporate team building, a facade. That is a question. And the presenter for today is Muthoni Njogu, who is a management and organizational development specialist with a passion for institutional efficiency. She is a change agent who believes in the power of human capital. In her role as a transformational coach, Muthoni partners with different clients for self-improvement and a transformative journey. She has over 25 years experience in the United Nations system, providing leadership in improving organizational performance and program delivery. Leveraging her management and organizational development expertise, she has led and spearheaded projects which delve on learning, development planning, and performance management. And having worked in the United Nations systems in Kenya, DRC, Congo, Uganda, Indonesia, and Switzerland, she is also a hybrid career. She has a hybrid career with experience in the areas of humanitarian relief, operations, partnerships, interagency coordination, and other intergovernmental processes. She's also a faculty member of Coach Masters Academy, Singapore, and she's serving on the International Coaching Federation, Kenya Chapter Board 2025 as the Director of Events. She's an advisory group member of HESED World, an NGO based in Geneva, Switzerland. Her qualifications include Bachelor of Arts in International Relations, postgraduate studies in management and organizational development, and she's also a certified professional transformational coach as an advanced practitioner. With those few remarks, we'd like to hand over the microphone to Muthoni to take over from here. Muthoni.
Thank you so much, Mungai, and thank you to Njoko also for that security and safety briefing. I trust that you all enjoyed the music. I did, and thumbs up. It was really, really awesome. A beautiful way to warm our hearts this morning as we go through this thought-provoking session on corporate team building, unpacking what is stopping teams from thriving. I'm truly honored to be here today to share and learn, because every single day is an opportunity to learn and grow. And as a coach practitioner, my clients and I thrive in learning and growing. As I was thinking through my message of today, many thoughts came to my mind about my own journey being part of a team and a team leader. And then it occurred to me that over my 25 plus years of professional service in one of the largest multilateral organizations, I could not really confirm if many of our team building sessions resulted in a better team cohesion or alignment. And I think this is true to many of us this morning, if we really think about it. All those sessions that we have, running through the mud, riding horses, pulling ropes, etc., do they really translate in improvement of wellness, relationships, and work delivery? I let that sit with you for now. Mungai, the next slide, please. So this first slide is an honor to my colleagues from 22 countries, including me, the Kenyan. You can see the Kenyan flag there, represented in my team. And this image represents for me the heavy lifting that we tried to do as a team. You see that strong man pushing up that boulder on that hill. And then on the hindsight, today I ask myself, how can we expect a team building session held once a year or even once every 2 years to have a positive impact on our program delivery or business delivery, given our very, very diverse values, experiences, exposure, etc. I said it's a mission impossible. Mission impossible because we all come from different places. And the onus is on us as teams to really bring together, to synchronize intentionally, consistently, to help push that boulder up. Despite all the excellent books on positive psychology, neuroscience, written by pioneering scientists, we still believed and still believe that we could or can sort out our team dynamics, challenges, and opportunities in 1 or 2 sessions. As a coach practitioner today, I know from applying the science of positive psychology in my coaching practice that it is just not possible. The human mind is so complex, and any meaningful attempt to reap the full benefits of this human dynamics requires intentionality, consistency, and accountability. Next slide, please. So let's have an interactive activity just for a few seconds. So using the chat box, tell us what you think is the number of days we need to form a habit. There is no right or wrong, so please feel free, get into the chat box and share with us what the number of days it takes to form a habit. I see 21, well done. I see 30. I see another 21. I see 30. I see 40. Well done. There's no right or wrong. Any other thoughts coming through? 7. Oh, wow. Another thought, 28. Well done. Consistently, good one. Another thought-provoking exercise, 28. Any other thoughts? There's no right or wrong. I mean, great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I saw a number of 21 days thoughts there. So we almost lean on the same school of thought with the ones who shared the 21 days. But let me tell you this, I also knew of the 21-day myth and later discovered from a study conducted by an American neuroscience institute, which sampled 2,601 participants in 26 studies, that it takes between 59 to 66 days, 59 to 66 days to form a habit, with a timeline that can range anywhere from 4 to 335 days, depending on the behavior and the individual. How about that? So, the scientific research carried out by an American Neuroscience Institute also confirmed that habit formation does not happen overnight. And it typically requires deciding to take action, repeating the behavior, and making the behavior automatic, making it a way of being. Habit formation does not happen overnight. It typically requires deciding to take action, which is a first step is to make a conscious decision to start a new habit. And research has shown that when people choose habits that align with their personal goals, they are more likely to stick with them. Repeating the behavior. Consistency is the key. One of our participants did mention consistently. So consistency is the key. The more often you repeat a behavior in a stable context, the more natural it becomes. Early repetitions have the biggest impact on making action feel automatic. Sticking with it, especially in the first few weeks, is essential. Making the behavior automatic, a way of being. And I put all that into context because we are talking about team building exercises that bring all these human beings with all their values, with all their exposure, with all their experience under one roof in a day. And you say, guess what? We are going to make a change. How does that sit with you? Weird, right? And don't get me wrong, team building, team cohesion, or team alignment exercises are absolutely necessary, and they contribute to the success of businesses and organizations. What I've been grappling with is how we underestimate the work prior to these activities, the sustained personal commitment well after the sessions are over, and after we have all hugged and said what a great time we spent together. As a coach, I know that my mind can be my best friend. It can also be my worst enemy. I also know that it is important to improve the percentage of time that my brain is serving me rather than sabotaging me. And I put that within the context of me as a team member, or me as a team leader, or you as a leader, or you as a manager, and how then your mind comes to play in the bigger picture of that team building effort. Next slide, please. So we have gone through the revelations. Habit formation does not happen overnight. And what really it requires to make it habit. Next slide, please. So within the context of team building, team cohesion, or team alignment exercise, we must remember that our potential as human beings is determined by many factors. We have the cognitive intelligence, which is basically the mental capabilities that enable individuals to learn, to reason, to solve problems, and to apply knowledge effectively. We also have the emotional intelligence, also known as the emotional quotient, which is the ability to perceive, to use, understand, manage, and handle emotions. And of course, we have skills, soft skills like coaching, skills like what you have gone through in schools. I have seen engineers, I have seen managers, you have all these different skills that you bring to the team. You have the knowledge, you have experience, and of course, and now I add the positive intelligence, also known as the positive intelligence quotient, an approach developed by Coach Shirzad Shamin, and I'll provide you in a later slide details where you can go in and figure out who this man is. And he's the author of the New York Times bestseller book, Positive Intelligence. And positive intelligence is ultimately about action and results. It is tools and techniques that are synthesis of best practices in neuroscience, organizational science, positive psychology, and coactive coaching. And don't get me wrong, I'm not marketing Coach Sherzad Shamin's positive intelligence program because there are so many leadership programs that you all tap into already, including this famous 360 degrees and many other personality indicator methods. However, when I think through my question about team dynamics, I am looking at it from how that team cohesion, in that process of thinking through our team cohesion, our team building, our team alignment, we must allow ourselves all vulnerability that it deserves to understand what it is that we are paying attention to in our minds and what prevents us from achieving our fullest potential, first as individuals, then in our role as teams. Only when we can turn inwards and allow ourselves to be vulnerable and accountable can we be truly part of a thriving team. That intentionality should be evident in our preparation, our planning, and rollout of team building activities. In that way, that preparation, that planning, that rollout will really be the determinant of how meaningful those sessions are and how they will allow for that positive shift which that session aspires to bring. If you agree with me, we have the button for React. Give me a thumbs up. Well done. I see those thumbs. Yes. And I really do know that that intentionality means that our team building sessions are not just a facade. They're not a way of being away from the office, running in fields, throwing ourselves in mud, riding horses, speaking to horses or whatever other animals we use for team building sessions. No, they're about me, the individual, how I show up, what am I paying attention to in my mind, that empathy that Wanjiko referred to earlier, that ability to explore what that other person is bringing to the table, that curiosity to innovate together, that ability to activate as a team, but collectively, our truly strong points and even an acceptance of our weak points that still help us to grow. And I also want to be very clear here that I'm not referring to cases of exposure to trauma or extreme effects that affect our engagements in a team, and that should be addressed using professional therapy or counseling services. I am talking about a place where we are in full control of our minds and we are able to say, what am I paying attention to? Next slide, please. Disclaimer, I am not marketing for for Coach Shirzad Shamid. I am only offering an invitation to you as a person in a team or to the team leaders who could be here to go and have a look at positiveintelligence.com. You have the possibility to take an assessment free of charge to understand where are you at in terms of saboteurs that stop you from thriving as an individual, as a team member, as a leader, that contribute to your wellness, to your relationships, and to your professional engagements as well. Actually, Coach Shirzad encourages teams before getting into any of these team building activities to have that saboteur assessment taken. And then you allow yourself the vulnerability to review your results in a team. Why? With all the empathy for yourself and for your team members, you will see in that team. Are you that stickler? Are you that hyper-rational? Are you that victim? Are you the pleaser? You will get all that from the positiveintelligence.com. Very, very interesting. Next slide. As I come to a close, I leave you with this reflection. Which way, team? I want to stop here to give time for questions or comments. Over to you, Mungai. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Muthoni, for the presentation. And we'd like to basically move to maybe questions, which maybe people may be having. And I'll just jump to the chat box to see. Okay, I'm seeing somebody by the name guest one is asking, are all forms of team building ineffective, and are some models more authentic than others?
Great. That's a very good question. And thank you for that. A model or an approach is driven by a human being. How effective any model or approaches is as good as the mind of that human being. Because no matter what kind of model you have, if you do not truly understand where you are coming from as part of a team, then it doesn't matter which approach you have. And this is why I said I'm really grappling with it, that will one day make a difference? We have said, how many days does it take to form a habit? So it's not about being ineffective. It's about being intentional, consistent, and accountable to what you have signed to in this team building effort. I hope that answers that question.
Sorry, allow me, Mungai, just to ride onto that question and answer. For some reason, I'm not able to use my raise hand feature. So, Coach Muthoni, could you then just explain to us what a successful output of a team building session would look like?
So
So we go
that's a
out with
good
a
question.
team.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, go
So
ahead.
if I'm to speak from the PIEA Secretariat, for example, we go out as a team, for example, of 5 colleagues to have a team building session. And you've talked about doing the personal assessment to establish what our saboteurs are through the model by Shiraz.
Shiraz. Mhm.
Yes. And we've all done that, potentially done that. So then what would then happen in that 1 day or 2 day?
No, and that's a great question. So if we take it that we have used whatever kind of assessment, and that's why I say this one is an interesting one, because we talk about the power of positive psychology. So we have all done that assessment. We understand where our saboteurs are, whether we are avoiders, whether we are controllers, whether we are hyper-rational, whether we are pleasers, whatever it is that is the outcome of our assessment. When we go out on our team building exercise, you will actually then pay attention to what it is that your mind is doing for you. I give you a typical example. You have a hyperachiever leader who is dependent on constant performance and achievement for self-respect and self-validation, latest, quickly, discounted, needing more, right? And then you have a Gen Z in that team, one who is a touch and go, very creative, uses a lot of AI, gets bored very quickly. Now, what will happen with this hyperachiever who knows they're hyperachiever? They would use a lot of empathy, ask for themselves to understand, yes, I'm a hyperachiever. And they would also want to explore what is going on in that Gen Z's mind, bring it on the table, and they will find ways to innovate together. Actually, that hyperachiever may lean more to the Gen Zs because they always want to achieve things. So they could be bouncing back their fancy ideas to the Gen Z who will bring them to the light of day. I'll use another example. A leader or a manager or a supervisor who's a controller, who knows from their assessment that they are a controller. So they know in the back of their mind that they have this tendency, they're anxiety-based, they need to take charge, control situations, people, actions, to be own will, high anxiety and impatience. Then you have another one who is an avoider in that team. So they have the team building exercise, and guess what? The controller wants to take over. They know, hang on, I cannot actually just always show up. I cannot take over. I need to give space for other voices. Where the avoider, who is always, focusing on the positive and the pleasant, avoids difficult and unpleasant tasks, guess what? Your controller, who knows that they do have that controlling tendency, will create space for that other voice. That other voice is the avoider in the team. And guess what? That avoider could be a factory of ideas. But because they feel cornered and coerced by the controller, they will not say anything because they feel like, you know what, I want to avoid those difficult tasks and conflicts. And guess what it does to the team? So long as you go into that team building session without an understanding of how your mind is wired and how other team members are experiencing you, it will still be a 1 or 2 day visit out of the office. And when you go back to the office, it will be business as usual. Does that answer your question? Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Mungai, you're on mute.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So,
It does answer the question.
Awesome. Mungai, I can't see the other, okay, no, I see it now. Okay, go ahead, Mungai.
Sorry, I was wondering whether what the best model is, because there are very many questions on the chat box, whether coach, you want to read them yourself and respond so that we try and salvage on time, other than having us read them from this side and then you have to attend to them.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
So no problem. Can team building foster genuine trust and collaboration, or is it always built through real work challenges? Awesome question. Yes, team building can foster trust and collaboration. However, I would also say it has to be intentional and it has to be consistent. We do not build trust in one day. We do not collaborate in one day. Actually, collaboration is much, in my view, much easier because it can be genuine, it can be positive, but trust you build over time. You build over time. And that's why any team building efforts have really to be part and parcel of everyday work. It is the heavy lifting that we were referring to when we said how many days it takes to form a habit. So my challenge or my invitation to leaders, to managers, and to supervisors is it does not require a day or two. It requires us to consistently do it. Let it be the building blocks of our works day to day. And as I say that, we talk about, for example, physical fitness, the importance of the 10,000 steps per day. How will you go to the gym to get that six pack in one day? You cannot. It's the same way we talk about our building our mental muscle. It says, for example, let's take 10 seconds every, different times during the day to say, what am I paying attention to? How am I being experienced by this other person? How am I allowing my mind to go astray, judging rather than saying, hey, someone has offered me a new perspective. Where are they coming from? I want to explore that with all the empathy, with all the discernment. So team building, yes, can foster trust and collaboration. However, we need to do the heavy lifting. I hope that answers your question. Please give me a thumbs up if it does. And as you do that, I will jump to the next one. From your experience, how can leadership distinguish between team building activities that produce real organizational value versus those that are merely symbolic? Good question. The essence of having team building, why do we have team building exercises? Is it something that a leader has seen that is needed? Is there something that they feel that the team is not, fully engaged in? Or what actually pushes or makes leaders or managers want to have team building exercises? I think if the leader can really ponder through that question, then we will see where they're actually bringing value to the organization versus just being another day out of the office. And when we go back to what I said in terms of intentionality, in terms of the planning prior, the rollout, and after, I believe that is the place where you see, hey, we have been having, I use just this as an example, for example, for that answer. We are having challenges with our intergenerational communication. We have the Gen Zs, the millennials, and all these other generations whom we need to have a way of communicating because of obvious reasons. How has that improved since we came back from our team building exercise? How much space do we give to active listening? Really listening without waiting to jump into that conversation. I think that is what the leader, that level of thinking is what the leader needs to have before we say we're going out to have that team building or team cohesion or team alignment exercise. And I hope that does make sense. And as I say that as well, I say, well, that's why more and more leaders are tapping into the services of coaching. A coach will partner with you to see what is it that you want to maximize in that professional potential. And most probably, you have the answer. You just need someone to hold the space for you and to work that out. I hope that answers that. How do you go about where there is no trust between team members and leaders? That's a very good question and not an easy one to answer. Why? What is it that actually resulted in that breaking of the trust? What are those things that you as an individual, you as a leader have that either stops your team from reaching out to you, from sharing their innovative ideas? How much space are you making around the table to listen to diverse voices, to embrace other ideas, to embrace collectively challenges, to celebrate wins? All those are aspects of trust. And when there is no trust, then we need to go back and say, where are we not getting it right? First, as an individual, and two, as a team. We must allow ourselves to be vulnerable because more than often we know where things need to be worked on. I hope that answers the question. It's not an easy one. It will take a lot of reflection. It will take a lot of being vulnerable and allowing ourselves as leaders to say, how is my team experiencing me? Do they actually see me at the end of the corridor and dark? And if they do, then we need to do our homework as leaders. I hope that answers the question. I jump to the next one. Do you think remote and hybrid work environments have changed the value or illusion of team building, and how? Yeah. Our new way of working. Yes. Our new way of working is good. I am speaking to you from Nyeri County, and I don't know where everybody else is sitting. Very good. However, I don't see you. You know, Sawabona, I see you. I want you to see my face. I want to see your smile. I want to see your facial expression. Yes, indeed. Team building in the new way of working is a challenge, and that's why more and more organizations and companies are saying, you know, yes, we like you working from home, but please come to the office. We must not lose that human touch. That touch that helps us to embrace our values and all that makes us part of the team. I hope that answers the question. In many organizations, team building activities are usually planned externally, but internal culture still remains toxic. What strategies have you seen that actually shift behavior and emotional trust within teams, especially in high pressure industries? That's an awesome question. And if I try and answer it very quickly, not to dilute the importance at all, but just for the sake of time, if we go back to understanding who am I in that, that word toxic, it comes with, there's a human being that's walking around with that word in their head. It is one of their saboteurs. Why would I not first want to understand, hey, if people are experiencing me in that toxic environment, I need to do my homework. And yes, team buildings they're done outside. However, we still come back with our minds, with our pleasing, avoider, hyperactive, controller attitudes. We still bring them back. That is why it is important to be very vulnerable and say, who am I and how am I showing up in this team? That way, even you go and write how many houses, how much mud you write together, you still come back. It is fake. We have to be authentic members of a team. And that authenticity comes with being vulnerable and accepting that we cannot build habits in one day. We have to be intentional to build our mental muscle that allows us to empathize with other people, allows us to explore what other people are experiencing, allows us to innovate together, allows us to activate all those projects and things that we want to do for the organization in a very positive way. I hope that answers the question. My second question, how should organizations measure the long-term impact of team building initiatives, especially in sectors where productivity and safety KPIs are tightly monitored? Oh, wow. That is a loaded question because there are so many models that exist out there. The ultimate measure of team building initiatives is seen in how the organization is dealing with its individuals. Because we know that if a team is not cohesive, if we're not properly aligned, we actually see it in the output, up to and including the psychological safety of our staff. For example, your human resources people know how many of our staff are getting sick. They take sick leave. Why? Because we have an organization that is just toxic, that is being driven like a machine, that does not provide that psychological safety. Is that something you can measure? Yes, it is measurable, and it takes that intention. On your previous explanation, I can attest as a middle-level manager, there's a thin line between toxic positivity and forced fun in the name of team building. That's the dark side of team build, because once the teams are back to the office, it's business as usual. Absolutely. We have to be authentic in our team building efforts. It is not just about ticking the boxes. It's remembering that teams are made of human beings with their values, with their experience, with their aspirations. And ours is to help each other with all the empathy that we owe to ourselves and to our teams, better versions of ourselves. In so doing, we will be able to deliver those KPIs, those back programs, those strategies in a much more cohesive and integrated way. It is not a cherry, it's not something that's easy, but hey, it is intentional, it's consistent, and we should hold each other accountable. And I stop. I don't see any more questions there. Over to you, Mungai.
Is one more question which has gone to the Q&A section. It's reading, how can an organization strike a balance between achieving its team building objective and managing personality differences?
Repeat, Mungai, please.
How can an organization strike a balance between achieving its team building objectivity and managing personality differences?
Yeah, a really good question as well. If I can say, the culture of an organization is its DNA. If that DNA is aligned with the values in an authentic way, not just on paper, then I think the work of that organization would be done. That is how I would respond to that question or that comment.
Powerful and short answer.
Okay.
Very powerful.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm seeing there are no other questions on the chat box and on the Q&A section. So I think we have answered all these questions. So Muthoni, maybe is it the right time to play the video or
Yes,
last
please.
video? Okay.
Yes, please.
So we are going to broadcast a short video, 1 minute long, around 60 seconds long, the allegory of long spoons, and then we conclude. So just hold on.
As I close, and thank you for listening to me. As you go out today, let your long spoon reach out to your team member. We all can feed from each other's values, experience with humanity and empathy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Muthoni. We come to the end of this webinar for today. And with those few remarks, we'd like to just say thank you all for listening in and tuning in for this PIEA membership forum. Be on the lookout for many more invitations, and also remember to share once you receive the link with your departments and colleagues so that they can be able to listen in and attend and learn from these insights from knowledgeable experts within the sector. We'll be able to share the PPT as a link so that some of you can be able to download it and maybe read through. And also the recording will be available on the PIEA YouTube channel. So kindly make sure you subscribe so that you can be able to be viewing on the same. With those few remarks, we'd like to say thank you and have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.